I walked into a conversation that a group of my neighbors were having.
How old were you when you walked in on this conversation?
I was about 10.
Okay.
You know, a couple of kids that were between that and maybe 13 were talking about how things had happened. They were explaining how things went down, and I was like, whoa.
Why would anyone want to do such a
What are
thing?
y'all? Why were y'all naked? You know, I'm trying to play cool, like, you know, I got all these questions. These thought bubbles were over my head, and I'm like, but why was y'all two? That's your girlfriend, right? But was y'all in the house? Oh.
But that didn't mean a dad blame thing because you didn't know what they was talking about.
Man, I knew they were talking about like doing some nasty things.
Are you the one who starts the best conversations on Facebook, WhatsApp, or in the group chat? If so, this is the podcast for you. Hi, I'm Eva.
And I'm Don, and welcome to Chat and Bother. This is a 15-minute podcast where we start conversations and you and your circle finish them. So go ahead and share this episode with a friend or family member so they can listen to it and you can talk about it together.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How did you learn about the birds and the bees? And how did you learn about death? So basically, how did you learn about how life gets here and how life leaves here? Now, the face you're making right now, friends and family, I feel like this episode is going to be heavily edited. Because your face looks like, this. So we still have to be a very family-friendly show, right? Because we want people to be able to listen to this in the car.
Right.
If their kids are in there.
Right.
So if you have very young children, I mean very young, like under 12, I don't know when kids learn about stuff now.
Yeah.
Probably earlier than that. They be watching Power. They watch anything now, so I don't know. But if you haven't had the talk with your kid, we're not going to give them the talk now, but if you don't want the questions to come up, just skip this episode and come back. Okay? So I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
And I need you to put your eyebrows down. You have them raised up into your scalp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get anybody into trouble. Don't send anybody to prison.
I don't know how that would happen, but okay.
Hey, you don't know people, the face you made. I don't know what your story is. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want to think about it for a second?
For me, I walked into a conversation that a group of my neighbors were having.
How old were you when you walked in on this conversation?
I was about 10.
Okay.
You know, a couple of kids that were between that and maybe 13 were talking about how things had happened. They were explaining how things went down, and I was like, whoa.
Why would anyone want to do such a thing?
What are y'all... Why were y'all naked? You know, I'm trying to play cool, like, you know, I got all these questions. These thought bubbles were over my head, and I'm like, but why was y'all two? That's your girlfriend, right? But was y'all in the house? Oh.
But that didn't mean a dad blame thing because you didn't know what they was talking about.
Man, I knew they were talking about like doing some nasty things, but but I didn't look. I was so clueless at that point. Then they started asking me like, "How was your first time?" And I'm like, "Man, I gotta go back home, man. I ain't."
It's hot out here, and also I need a jacket. It's crazy.
It's winter.
I
was like, man, y'all heard that? My mom calling me.
I gotta
go. Of course, at that point, my brain started thinking of all the lies I could tell, like how
but you can't even lie
because I don't know what to lie about, right?
Yeah. So I don't think girls have that. Well, they might now, but back then we didn't. At 10, we didn't have that pressure. 10, 11, 12. To know things, right? So the first I heard, I think one of my, I can't even say friends because she was older than me, but like somebody, I used to go to the library every day after school, mainly because my parents were not about to pay for childcare. So the library is a relatively safe place, they thought, in Aiken, South Carolina.
Y'all didn't have no hobos in y'all library?
You know how long a hobo would have to walk to get to that damn blame library and up that hill? I barely made it on my little young legs, okay? So anyway, what I was supposed to do was go in there, do my homework, because after that I probably had a dance class or gymnastics or something. Right? So I was supposed to go in there.
Wait, you did gymnastics?
I wasn't any good, so we don't talk about it.
Oh, this is new, y'all. Good. I didn't know this about my wife.
Yeah, we'll have a did you know session a little later about other stuff that I know how to do. So no, I wasn't very good at it. Moving on. So I may have had a dance class or gymnastics or some kind of extracurricular activity after school.
Right.
So I needed to get my homework done. Did I get my homework done? Absolutely not. No. I sat there and read highlights at the little magazine table.
With the little cat.
I don't know what was it. There was a cat. No, it was Goofus and Gallant, right? Was on the inside. You didn't read those? Did you read highlights? Why do you look like I'm speaking a different language?
Let's move on. No. Let's move on. Okay. How about that?
Your mother ordered highlights, paid for that.
Let's move on.
You ain't never read that book. She had
we should not talk about this right now.
Watch. I hope your mom hears this and realizes she did not get anything out of that subscription she paid for you. Look at that. Look at that.
My sister did all the reading for our household.
I don't think that's how reading works.
Yeah, it was a collective bargaining agreement.
It's not a collective approach. Okay, so anyway, that's what I was supposed to be doing, homework. I was actually reading highlights and just kind of roaming around, just not doing anything I was supposed to be doing for the hour or two that I was going to be there. Well, this particular person, I remember her name. I'm not going to say her name, but I remember her name. She said, "Have you been to aisle 612?
She didn't give you the
612.
She gave you the spot in the Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal System, y'all. She said 612. I said no. What? No, because it's not the children's section. Because of course we know the Dewey Decimal System. We had to learn a lot about that. Right. So that's not quite the children's section, but it is.
It's not too far from it.
It wasn't too far. So she did not take me over there. She did not explain anything. I went on my own and found the 612 section.
You went and found the Tree of Life.
I went and found it. But let me tell you something. The cartoon versions of this stuff.
Cartoon versions?
Yes, because they were for children.
Oh, my.
These probably would have been banned now.
Wow.
Right? But these were educational books in cartoon form for children, like to explain the birthing process and how things fit together and all of these things, but it's a cartoon version. So I had a lot of questions, none of which I could ask my parents, because what the heck were you doing over there when your homework is not done?
Right.
What were you doing over there? So
now you can't ask the questions, but I have questions for you. Like, were these things like in the form of, what was
they're picture books.
But what's it like the owl from the We'll Never Know How Many Licks It Takes to Get to the Tootsie Rolls out of a Tootsie Pop kind of artwork?
It was bad 70s, 80s cartoonish artwork. But it wasn't any good. It was like, it wasn't medical artwork. It was not.
It was nothing accurate about it.
Hanna-Barbera. It was somebody thought they could draw and did their best and got published.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not good.
I'm sorry you had to see that.
It was, but the thing is, it wasn't traumatizing because I was like, I'm not 100%. That looked like a chicken leg. I'm not 100% sure what's going on
here.
Is
that a drumstick? What are they doing with the drumstick? I've never
seen this in real life, so I'm not able to translate from cartoon to real life.
Okay. All right.
But the further you go down, the more realistic things get.
Oh, and you kept going.
So, but I was still, something in you was like, ooh, I shouldn't be reading this.
Oh.
So next week I'm gonna go down one more
Your check
book.
engine light came on.
Yeah, my check engine light came on, my spirit, So it took me probably a whole year of messing around in that section when I wasn't supposed to be there. And then you have to also look over your shoulder because the librarian know good and well you ain't got no business.
What you doing over there at 612?
Right? By yourself, because the parents used to get those books for their kids.
This is Club 612 where the players
Right,
dwell.
where the players, right?
What you
So
doing
this
over
is
here?
not where kids go to find out. This is where parents go to get the books to explain to their children.
Wow.
So I am doing this fully unsupervised, but also trying to look over my shoulder to make sure Miss Ratchet is not coming to get me. So yeah. And then I can't check them out. So I have to keep returning to this section like some pervert. Okay. It's just weird. It's just
And how
weird.
old were you?
Probably, okay, so what is third grade? Fourth grade? What is that? Third grade?
Third grade's what, about 8 or 9?
For me, okay, so I did
8.
second grade at 6 and 7. So 8 or 9, like
Yeah.
8 or 9, something like that. Not old enough to know what the heck was going on. I was not educated by the time I left that section. I was just terribly embarrassed.
Did they do all the girls are going to go get to watch a movie?
Actually, when we had the opportunity to do that, my mom signed the form that said you need to send her to the library during this session. So no, I did not, because she didn't trust anybody else to tell me how things worked, but she also wasn't going to tell me.
I was mad as heck. I was like, why they get to watch a movie, man? I don't even want to do no artwork.
But no, I didn't get the in-school, no.
Yeah, I was like, why the girls get to watch a movie? I want to watch a movie.
You didn't want to watch that movie.
No, I didn't want to watch
that movie. So no, I've
but...
never seen the movie. I've never had any in-school education, which is so interesting because by the time our kids went to public school, they have a class where they learn about all that stuff.
Right.
And they only had a couple of questions, so I'm assuming having a guide and the books is helpful.
Maybe.
But they didn't have a lot of questions. I think Eden was just like, but why? What is the point? Is there another way?
Right.
Because I don't want children if this is how this has to go down. I don't need no kids. Somebody else can make them and I'll go pick them up. I don't want to do that.
The checkout process is not okay.
No. And it's only me. Why he ain't got to do nothing? That division of labor was not their idea of a good time. So yeah, so that's how I found out. The rest of it, I think my friends kind of filled in the blanks as I got older.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it from my parents. Did your parents tell you anything?
I think my mom tried to have an awkward discussion with us. My dad, not so much. He asked had I had some. And I was like, oh, this is awkward. I got to lie to my daddy. I was lying to my neighbors. Now I got to lie to my daddy too.
Apparently everything is about lies when it comes to this.
Right. Like,
I'm looking over my shoulder, not trying to look like.
Because he asked me in the front of the whole work crew. I'm like, well, dang. I would have been honest with you, but now Mr. Tom and Mr. Jerry over there too, man. Mr. Jerry looked like he'd be ashamed of me if I said no right now.
So you just got to work through.
Yeah.
You just got to push through. What about when people passed away? How did you learn what that process was? Did you have a pet that passed away first and then you dealt with it with people, or the process of something or someone no longer being here, permanently? How did you deal with that? Yeah, I think
the first thing I saw that die was a hermit crab. I had a hermit crab.
It was your own personal hermit crab?
Yeah, I think so.
How did you know it was gone? It's a hermit crab. I don't want to laugh right now, and I'm having a very hard. I'm not doing well.
Actually, no. It might have been a salamander first, because I caught a salamander in Alabama and I brought it back to Delaware. It didn't last long.
This is not the portion of the program that we're supposed to be laughing.
So
okay.
Yeah. So I caught it and I was very proud of myself. My dad was kind of proud too. He was like, all right, you caught it, fine. We can take it back with us. My mom looked at him like, what's wrong with you? Let him take it's a lizard. Where we gonna put a lizard? And so he figured out how to make.
Because everybody got an old fish tank.
Right, he had a fish tank, and so he fixed up the fish tank so that it was a salad. It's glass, so they couldn't climb up the glass. But
put some sticks in there,
a little water, and so eventually the thing died.
Yeah, because salamanders need more water than lizards do.
And it was also stored in the area of the house that was like the garage area, which in Delaware because I think I caught it towards the end of the summer. So as it came into the fall and winter,
it lived pretty long then.
It lived long enough to make it to the cold snap.
Oh, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah. So I thought it had died a couple times before it actually did.
It was probably if I just don't move.
Because they're cold blooded, right?
Yeah, and they just conserve energy.
And so it's like,
real still.
I I'm like, it's looking at me. I'm looking at it like, what?
Is something wrong?
Hey, man, is you dead? It looked like you breathing, but you real still.
No. So when it finally passed away,
Yeah.
did you have to have a conversation?
I think I asked about burying it or something. They was like, yeah, just go dig a hole in the backyard. They was like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah, but you never had a conversation about this is what happens when things die.
No, just it's dead. Like, and I'm pretty sure my sister was like, it's dead. You shouldn't have brought it up here anyway. Did you feed that thing? I was like, yeah, I don't know what to feed it. It's like, oh God, you didn't feed this thing this whole time.
You're just sitting there looking at it.
I like this company. You like my company, whatever.
My first experience with it, I think I was about 6, maybe probably about, I was pretty young, so it might have been 5 or 6. My brother got a hamster, and those things, and I to this day, so that had to be 42 years ago, y'all. And I remember seeing this dead. It was terrible. So hamsters, I don't know if you guys know, but they're not the smartest of pets. And somehow this hamster got himself stuck between the wheel and the wall by his eyeball.
Wait,
funny.
so his eyeball is
His eyeball was mushed against the glass, and I can still see it in my nightmares. And my brother is crying, and I am horrified. Because I think he only got it because they had one at school, and he was, he liked it, and so he got one and got the whole thing with the whole apparatus with the wheel, and it was a big deal in the house, and it did not last long, and he didn't kill it. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't very smart. It didn't make it. So that was my first experience with death, that you really could get yourself caught between the glass in your wheel by an eyeball and die.
The salamander was one thing, and then my dog got hit by a car.
Oh, I learned a lot about death having outdoor pets.
Yeah.
Yes, because we had one that got into some part of the car. Because the cats, just don't make that face. Yeah, it was as disgusting as you think it is. The kitten, and just got ate up his whole back half. Right?
Oh.
Right. So, living in the country, I think you deal with death earlier and more often.
Right.
Than you do Delaware.
Yeah, because stuff is processed for you.
Yeah, everything is, you don't see things there's not a lot of wildlife.
I explained in another episode with the time I got to see a goat butchered.
Did we?
Did I not?
I don't think we talked about that, because that's an experience that we both have. We might have to come back to that.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that. But I
Y'all
also...
keep listening, because that's a good story.
I also saw my cousin wring a chicken's neck.
But this is all outside of Delaware.
This is all Alabama. I guess a lot of the death that
you learn about is in the South.
Yeah.
Which is, it's in the country. I feel like people.
I mean, the dog get hit by the car was there in Newcastle, but like we learn in the country, when you see vultures, something's dead. Something is dead, and it's over there, and it's dead over there, and they're gonna circle for a little while, and then they're gonna go eat it, and it's a very brutal way to think about the circle of life. What was our kids? They grew up in the city. Mm-hmm. So their first experience was a fish. Yeah, the fish died. Eden's fish.
Or
was it Evan's fish?
I think Evan's fish went first, but Eden was more dramatic about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because Evan, he'd go outside, he'd step on things, he'd kill things and stuff. He'd step on stuff. He had a dog. The dog would bring dead stuff to the door, so he wasn't like horrified.
Right.
She was like, "Excuse me? How is this even possible?
What is
this?" She had like a whole funeral. Dave was the funeral director. There were no photos allowed. There was a portrait of the fish at the funeral. Like, it was a whole thing. You know what? If y'all are following on Instagram, I will post the photos that we were able to sneak during that funeral. But everyone was dressed in black.
Right.
There was a hat, because you have to have a hat for this. Like it was a thing.
You had to properly mourn the fish.
Yes.
That was with us exactly 10 days.
How would we have been clowned if we tried to have a funeral for a pet? Do you know how
I think parents
they'd still be laughing about it today.
Right. The only reason why that was even thinkable was because of the episode of The Cosby Show.
Right, because we had seen The Cosby Show as a kid. And of course, growing up, we were like, that is the most ridiculous thing. Like, that was actual comedy.
Right.
Is having a funeral for a fish was comedy.
Right.
But to our kids who at that point had not seen The Cosby Show.
Right.
They thought a funeral for a fish made perfect sense. There was a repass. Right. They had a whole repass. I gotta go to work.
And I gotta go to work.
Y'all go ahead and jump online and tell us how you were introduced to the circle of life.
I would sing it if I could sing it.
Please don't sing it.
I can't. Okay.
Please don't sing it. That's a treat that we're gonna... Okay. No. We will save that treat for another time.
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Chat and Bother. Go ahead and like our Facebook page and share this episode with people that you want to chat with or just feel like bothering, or both. Visit our website, chatandbother.com, for our episode guide and other ways to connect with us. Take care.